Welcome to Straight Out of Savannah, Talking with Tammi, a podcast that showcases people you may not know who are choosing to use their gifts to inspire and move the planet.
Thank you so much for joining us on Straight Out of Savannah. I am super excited. My guest, Janet Sandberg, is here, and I'm excited because I was just on her show recently, and I'll actually put that in the show notes as well so that you can check that one out. So I was on her show recently and she decided to come on my show. So here we are. I have Janet Sandberg and I'm super excited that she's here. Janet, take it away and tell the people a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
All right. I'm excited to be here. We had such a good talk last time.
You did.
So yeah, talking more today about all sorts of things and different things. Who am I? I'm a lot of things. Um, uh, Personally, I am a wife, newly married still, again,
Nice.
2.5 years this time to the right man.
Yes.
Together we have 5 kids who are all grown. I love family and friends and concerts and movies and dinosaurs and dancing.
Wait. Dinosaurs?
I love dinosaurs. Yeah, and I've danced my whole life, and I'm in a bit of a break, but I'll get back to it as soon as my life calms down after this move and getting my new life sorted and organized. And professionally, I am a master intuitive, a divine channel, Reiki master healer, intuitive coach, author, podcast host. Yeah, I'm here to change people's lives and change the world. And as cheesy as that sounds, that's just how it is.
I love that. We are so synchronistic
Mhm.
because we do pretty much most of the same things, and I laugh because when I talk to people and I hear what they do, I'm like, man, we do similar things, and the funny thing about it is people will hear that and be like, oh, well, but why she have her on her show if they do the same thing? And I'm like, because many people are in the planet and everybody is not attracted to the same people. Even
Exactly.
though we do the same things, we attract different people and we do it in different ways. So that
Hmm.
is, I love that. It fills me up because, one of the things I want to know, and probably everybody else, is how did you get here? Because here's the thing, most of us are born as divine channels and we're born as intuitives, but most of us don't know it.
That's
So
true.
what was what did that look like for you?
Um, it's been around my whole life. When I was little, I would get these feelings, usually when I was sitting by myself in front of the TV coloring. So I'd be kind of in that meditative zone,
Yes.
just really quiet, minding my own business. and,
Yes.
and when I was just, calm and clear, and that's sort of when this thing would come, but I was little and I didn't know what it was. So it was just there and I had nobody I could ask. Like I knew enough to know that it wasn't like a normal thing that happened to other people. Um,
That part.
but I was like, this is a weird thing that happens to me. And then, fast forward when I was a teenager, I got into crystals, and auras and sort of your intro to metaphysics, as you do. And then another 15 years later, things were, with the advent of the internet, more and more people started knowing about energy and metaphysics and all of these things that I had been interested in my whole life, not knowing why. And I learned about Reiki,
Mm.
and then I learned Reiki. And at my Reiki 1 class, I was like, oh my God, this is it. This explains my entire life. Like,
But she said, I'm home.
yeah, this is how I experience the world. And not only that, not only there's an explanation now for how I experience the world, but I can use that to help people.
Mm.
So yeah, then I just went down the rabbit hole of, learning all the Reikis and like a dozen different energy healing methods and like
Yes.
everything that I could. I was just like, I got to learn all that there is to learn and do all that there is to do, which of course you can't do, but eventually I calmed down, 10 years later. And I was like,
Yes, I
I've
know it
learned
well.
enough now.
I was gonna say, I know it well.
And then it was just on like personal practice and developing what I had learned and what I knew. And yeah,
Yes,
this is where
I
I am now.
understand it. I know it well because I actually was laughing because um I signed up for another class, but it was a Black Friday special and it was free on
Look at that.
Udemy. So I thought,
There you go.
yeah, and then I found another class, girl, for like $5 on Groupon. I was like, I can do that. Because I think we had talked before about how, we just keep diving and taking classes and more and more and more and more because, we just feel like there's so much more to learn. And then in this is to me, as soon as you start unpacking stuff and you
Yeah.
start cracking open things, it's like, oh my God, that is so interesting. I need to know about that. I need to be able to share about that. So what did you do prior to stepping into this world? What was your career life like before this?
I I didn't have one. Um, so like I went to university. After university, I lived abroad. I was a nanny, an au pair. Um, and then I met
That had to
my,
be interesting.
yeah, yeah, it was good. It was good fun. I met my ex-husband while I was living abroad. And then we got married and moved abroad. We lived in several different countries. Um, and I taught ESL, English as a second language, while we were living in non-English speaking countries for a couple of years, and then started having babies. And then I stayed home with them for many years. And then I started my own business. So I've never had like a real career job.
So the transition of you moving into this world wasn't as difficult because you were just doing different things. You were talking
Yeah.
about how you and your ex-husband went to different countries and
Yep. Yeah. And I was at home with kids. So I was doing this sort of as a hobby on the side for a long time until the kids got older. And then I
gotcha.
just started my own business because you can't work for other people when you do what we do.
No, no, it's a
You got to
very
go out on
difficult.
your own whether you want to or not.
Exactly. Because what do you say? Oh, well, you know what? I'm a crystal healer.
Hmm.
So what did your family feel about you in this arena?
They didn't really know a whole lot about what I do. Um, they kind of knew the Reiki. That was something that they'd heard of and kind of got it. Beyond that, I didn't talk to them. They never asked about my work. I didn't talk to them about my work. So, like my parents and my sister and like that my original family. Um my ex-husband and my kids, like my kids just grew up with it,
That's what I was going to ask. What about your kids? Because I know
Yeah.
sometimes kids can be,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like I never worked on them without their permission or, and they were older sort of by the time I got really into it. So I know there are some Reiki practitioners and healers who would like give their kids Reiki every night before bed. Like
right.
I was never one of those people.
Gotcha.
And my kids now they're in their 20s. They're just like when their friends be like, what does your mom do? They're like, "Mm, uh
Lots of things.
lots of things." They don't really know how to like name it.
Right.
It's like,
Because how do we name it?
yeah.
Because
They're like,
I was talking to my husband about this, and it was so funny. I have a friend, and she's been like 4 or 5 different things, like and it's funny because most of us go through that same thing, because you listen to some of the names. Oh, I'm a spirit guide, or I'm a chakra wellness expert or
yeah.
something. And so you typically, to me, as you grow, then some of those things shift, although
Yeah.
some
Your
people are
your
still.
titles shift over
Yes,
time.
yes. And so I was actually wondering, was that something that you did as you went along? Where you won this thing and then
Oh
you
yeah.
decided this is really where I'm at, and then you looked up and you went, no, I really.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah. When I first started, I was doing massage therapy and Reiki. And then I moved from Michigan to Canada, and then my massage therapy license wasn't valid anymore.
Right.
So I stopped doing massage because I wasn't about to go back to school to learn the same thing I had just
Wait, wait,
learned.
wait, wait. You had to go back to school?
Yeah,
They wouldn't even let you like take the test?
mm-mm. No, Ontario and British Columbia have like really, really tight, bizarre massage therapy rules.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you're trained there
There.
under their system, they won't let you practice.
Oh
So that
yeah,
would have been
no.
like, go back to school for another $10,000.
No, no,
And I'm like, No,
no.
no, no, just
Not
no."
gonna do it.
So like I didn't like massage therapy that much anyways. So
Right.
it was a stepping stone towards where I am now. And I'm grateful for it. And I learned a lot.
Yes. Yes.
And it also like it really helped me like learning anatomy and physiology and pathology. Like when clients would come in with physical hurts for Reiki,
Yeah.
I knew exactly what they were talking about. I knew where
Yeah.
things were located in the body. Like it was really, really helpful. And I
Yeah.
had a more sort of scientific approach to my Reiki
Yeah.
than a lot of Reiki practitioners had.
Yes. I get that as well. Same thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I can understand, a little bit better because like I took like a medical intuitive class.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that also was another thing. It was like, okay, yeah, I can understand a little bit. And so I appreciate this other place that I was.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I can appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, to me, that's goals, as we go on this journey, especially in this world, to be able to really look back and appreciate where we came from and what we went through and what we brought with us into these practices.
Yes.
I think is huge. So you're a newlywed.
I am.
I'm so excited for you. How does that feel?
It's amazing. We've been, well, especially since we've been married for 2.5 years and only living together for 3 months. So,
That is awesome.
yeah. So it's sort of, rekindled the romance. Not that it ever really died, but it's we're kind of starting over again.
Oh, that is
So,
so awesome. I know that
yeah.
feels expansive. And then especially the fact that, and I'm not knocking kids or anything like that. I have to say that so people don't,
Hmm.
throw me hate. But it's such a different time when it's just you together and you don't have to worry about that,
Yes.
little kids and, extra things and stuff because you can actually come together and just be with one another where you don't have all these extra outside things.
Yes.
To me, it's a different whole time with, this husband than it was with the other one where, we had the kids and there was always something and we were always doing and going and moving and shaking. Where sometimes, when it's just you guys, you can just go. Like
Mhm.
we just plan to take this trip because we want to get away. We don't have
Mhm.
anything, it's not not really a purpose, but just to get away. And we can do that because it's just us,
Yeah.
and
Well,
so
yeah, we were away last week on vacation. And you go out and you're on the beach or at a restaurant or whatever, and other people have adorable babies and little kids. And
yeah.
you look at them and you're like, oh my God, they're so cute. I'm so glad they belong to other people now. Because then we can just go off and have our nice dinner and not have to worry about anything and not have to rush back to put the kids to bed. And,
Yes.
we can just be.
Yes.
And it's a long time coming.
That is what I said. I was like, oh my God, this is beautiful.
hmm
Not to
And,
even struggle with
loving our
that.
grown children and
Yes.
it's amazing to watch them at the ages that they're at in their, early 20s, just starting out on their adult lives and watching them grow and thrive and learn
Yes.
and being there for them to give advice when they want it.
Yes.
And just watching them become
Yes.
who they're going to be. And it's
Yes.
amazing. I love it.
I tell people, I said, with my kids, because they're like, well, I told my child this and they're wrong, and blah, blah, blah. I said, well, listen, first thing is they're your child, but they're not your child. They're an adult. I said, the second thing is you have to stop telling them. You have to just plant the seed.
hmm
I said, I plant the seed and I said, you know what? I said, I saw this thing and I said, and all of a sudden I thought of you. I said, have you looked at blah 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 blah? And then I leave it alone. I don't bother it anymore. And then next thing I know, they come back to me and say, Mom, you remember you were telling me about that? Da, da, da. Well, I checked that out and I decided. Da, 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 da. I said, oh, great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And it
Yeah.
feels good because I planted this seed. They decided whether they were going to water it or, they're going to dig it up or what they were going to do. But I planted the seed and my work is done.
Just like regular people, you can suggest things and they'll do it when they're ready to do it,
Yes,
or they won't.
absolutely. Absolutely.
But
Absolutely, or they won't, that part. So let's talk about your work because I know that it is expansive. Just being in your energy is expansive for me. I have to
aw,
tell you. And so I know that, what's weird is the lighting is a little crazy, but the sun is shining here in the Pacific Northwest. And that is rare at this time of the year.
yes, it is.
But the sun is shining. And I'm like, I'm in this weird Twilight Zone moment. Anyway. So give an example of somebody that would come to you and how you would help them, because we all know that our ideal client is typically us a few steps back.
Yes. Yeah.
So, once you figure that out, to me, it's like, okay, I can help this person, because I
hmm
know where they were and I was them,
hmm
so describe like a time when you had a person that came to you that you knew exactly where they were and you were able to, get them where they wanted to be.
Oh, I think, I mean, there's a lot. So trying to
Yeah,
just
I was
pick
gonna say
one.
I figured
But
that.
this one girl, young woman who, she found me online somewhere, somehow, um, and started hanging out in my Facebook groups and started showing up for things and and then it turned into a more paid working relationship. And at the beginning, I didn't really know anything about her, of course, except she was a young mom and she was trying to figure out her gifts. And now she's got her own practice. She's like gone into business with her gifts now that she's figured out what they
Wow.
are. And she's like hosting retreats and she's doing all this amazing work. And I'm like, huh, no, like I didn't really see that coming. You should
What?
have, but
Wait, what? You're there too, and what? You didn't see it coming.
yeah, it was just, and I didn't know, you never know with people.
Right.
Sometimes they want to develop their gifts just to do that, not
Hmm.
necessarily to make a job out of it.
Right.
Um, but yeah, she's off, blossomed and grown
But does
and
that make you feel
and
good
doing
though,
her own
right?
thing and doing, things like we're doing.
Yeah.
So, but in her own way, and it's beautiful.
And that makes you
So,
feel good, right?
yeah, it
Yeah.
does. It does.
I
And
know. I love it when you look up and you're like, I don't know, for me, I feel like a proud mama.
yes, yeah,
I'm like, oh my God, look at her. She's doing so well. And
yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about that because of the culture of this area where we work in. It's like, I've seen a lot of coaches, and I talk to a lot of them, but I've seen a lot of them, and to me, it's almost like, okay, try to figure out how to say this properly. It's almost like, how a lot of times therapy is not always designed to help people to move forward.
Hmm.
It's like they're designed to just keep them coming back. I've seen some of that in this area too.
Yes.
And so I
So
wanted to just
many,
hear your thoughts on that.
so many coaching things that I've seen out there where, like I want my clients to not need me anymore. Like that's the
Yes.
goal, is to
Yes.
have them graduate and move on and be
Yes.
able to listen to their soul themselves without
Their
needing
own
me to
guidance.
translate.
Yes. Yes.
That's kind of my job. Like I tune into people's souls and I tell them what their soul wants and give them that guidance until they're able to do it for themselves,
Yes.
until they trust themselves. But like I think I would be doing a horrible job if people just came to me forever. Like, but there are some coaches who are like, no, you want them to, to always need you, because then you'll have, and I'm like,
Then you'll always have money.
but there's always new people growing and learning, and and I don't want to keep my clients needing me. Like I think that would be a terrible place to be.
I think so too, because to me that's disempowering, and we are wanting to empower.
Exactly.
And because that's where they would be. It's like they're in a disempowered place where they can't get their own guidance. I have to say that was one of the spaces that I was in like last year, where I decided I'm not doing no more of these major coaching programs right now. I was like, I'm going inside to
Mhm.
listen to the guidance that I have, that my higher self has, that God, universe, source gave me.
Yes.
And I'm not doing that. Because I started seeing that stuff. It's like, either that, or as cookie cutter programs,
Hmm.
where basically it's everything the same. And if you come and you do this and you follow my 4-step process, then boom, you'll be at 10K months.
Yeah.
And
Well,
yeah.
and the whole push towards scaling. You
Yes.
know,
Yes.
you have to scale, you have to scale. Well, first of all, you have to start somewhere. And if
Right. You
you
can't even
can't
scale until you
you
have
can't scale
started.
until you have a sustainable business. So
Yes.
how about we start there? But also, what I do is very intimate and
Yes.
it's very personal.
Yes.
And I like working one-to-one with my clients.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll throw a group program out there for certain things, or make it more available price-wise for people to have a small group. It's still
Yeah.
an intimate group. It's not going to be like 100 people. It'll be,
Right.
8. But but yeah, there's this whole push towards scaling and large groups and everything, again, to make more money. And it's like, yeah, if you're in it for the money, and there's nothing wrong with money. I want to make $1 million as
I was
much
going
as
to
the
say,
next
we all
person.
want money. We all like money.
But, I also want to honor myself and what I do best
Mm-hmm.
by doing what I do best, which is working one-to-one with people and until they don't need me anymore, which kind of
Yes.
goes against all the business advice that's out there, but I don't care.
Okay. So let's talk about that, because I wanted to talk about that too, because I feel this. I feel like you. It's like I don't want to do all that stuff. I don't want to. I don't want it. Every time I hear it, it almost is like um it's like when I hear first and foremost. That's like scratching a blackboard for me, because first and foremost mean the same thing.
Yes.
Foremost is first and first is foremost. And so when people say it, and it's, girl, they say it so much, it's almost like it's what I hear in
Mhm.
my head. And it's kind of like that, like the scaling and stuff. And it's like, no, how can you teach somebody to scale when they don't have anything sustainable, or they don't have a consistency that needs to be there in order to scale? And then the other thing is, why do we always want to scale? Personally, I like to be in business because I want to do what I want to do.
Mhm.
I want to do it when I want to do it. I don't want anybody telling me how to do it. And so how do you feel about, all the things that are going on in our industry, as far as, you know, or let me say it like this. What would you say to someone that was in this space, that was trying to figure it out, and and all they could find is this, everybody is talking about scaling and this and that, but they're not interested in that. They're kind of where we are, where we don't really want to do it that way. You don't want to work with 1,000 people.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Unless it's a group or a membership or something like that, different. But people are talking about working with 100 people at a time.
Yeah. I think and I think it all comes back to the money,
Hmm.
because the the people who are teaching scaling are teaching that because they're teaching it to coaches and business owners and what have you, who already have a sustainable business because they have the money to afford the coach. If you're coaching a beginner coach, they don't have money. That's just the nature of being a beginner coach.
Right.
Is that you don't. So you can't charge. You have to meet them where they're at. And if you're bragging about 10K months, it's harder to do that when you're working with a baby coach, because they don't have 10K months. So I think it's the people who are not willing to do what matters, and they're just pushing the money side of things, which is great, which we all want, but there are other ways to do the money things. If you are following what your soul is calling you to do, you're going to make the money however you want to do it, because that's what you are meant to do.
Yeah.
So if these coaches are suggesting something that doesn't sit right with you, that doesn't feel right with you, don't do it. I did
That
several
part.
years ago. I found myself, I was like, every freebie that I scrolled by on Facebook, I was signing up for. Like, I was just like, and you know what? I said, for the next year, I'm not signing up for any freebies. And the space and the clarity that allowed me was huge,
Yes.
because I wasn't having all of these different opinions and different methods and different promises, coming at me all the time and just leaving me sort of spinning and confused. And I
I
was
was
able
getting ready to
to
say,
actually listen to myself.
you feel like you're like this
Yeah.
because you got too many voices in your head.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So just stop. Don't listen to anybody for a
You said
while.
take a breath.
Take a breath. And yeah, listen to your soul, or have someone help you listen to your soul,
Yes.
who's not going to try to push anything on you, but just be the translator.
Yes, yes,
and
yes, yes.
clear, whether it's Reiki, clearing all the gunk out of your energy so that you have a better channel yourself, or working with a channel, like that's going to get you further than working with um a business coach who, is just like cookie cutter, like you said.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I think that's even more important in our business. Like, I think people who aren't spiritual, that works a lot better for them if they like can follow a formula and do stuff like that. But I think people who are spiritual and doing what we do, it's a lot more important to be aligned universally,
Yes, yes.
for us to be successful.
I agree. Because the thing of it is like, just like you said, we listen to our spirit, and we also, because I tell people, I'm like, yeah, you do need a strategy. You have to have, I mean, you need a strategy. However, you have to also look at the energy,
Hmm.
and you have to go by what your guidance says,
Hmm.
because for me, it's like certain things, I was doing the same thing as you. I got every freebie. I know I still got some in my email. And then I actually, what's wild is I actually came across a couple recently in my email that I had gotten that I had forgotten about. I don't think I ever opened them. And then I opened them. I was like, damn, this is good. But I did the same thing. I was like, it's too many people in my head. Too many people in my head. So I just shut it all down. And I had people still coming at me. Well, you want to join my program? It'll help you do this and that and da 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 da. And I said, no, because you know what I learned? No is a blessed word.
Yes, it is.
And let's talk a little bit about that too, because I know that people probably come to you that really need to check boundaries.
Hmm.
So let's talk about, how you would help them with that, because so many people have that problem. I know I was one. I used to just, say yes all the time, and I should be saying no. And,
Hmm.
vice versa. Say no when I should be saying yes, that type of stuff. But how would you work with somebody with that? Because I know, because I've actually had a couple of clients, and that was really all their problem was, is they had to fucking say no, shut it down, boundaries. And
Yeah.
that's what I would say to them. Boundaries. So
Well,
talk
and
about that a little bit, because I know you have had those kind.
boundaries is another way of saying trust yourself.
Yes, yes,
Trust in your soul. Listen to your soul. It all comes back to listening to your soul. When you are confident in your connection with your soul,
yes,
it's easy to say yes when you want to say yes and no when you want to say no,
yes,
because not following your soul's guidance feels terrible, and it feels worse than saying no to somebody or saying yes to somebody when you don't want to.
yeah.
So it all comes back to the same thing for me. It's
So
just connect with your soul and really nourish that connection so that you are super, super confident in it. So you know who you are. And then everything's easy after that, or easier, anyways.
that is powerful, because the thing is you are so right. And I was, as I was listening to you, I was like, so basically, you teach people how to connect to their soul
Hmm.
so that they can feel their own guidance,
Hmm.
or get it on in whatever way they receive messages. Let's see that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's powerful, and that's so needful. We need that so much in this society,
Yeah. Well,
because
and it's so easy I mean, most of us, unless you're one of our kids, like
right,
you don't grow up knowing that that's a thing that you need to do. And we all sort of come at it and learn about it later in life.
right.
When really it's like a basic human skill that we should all know at the beginning. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
I believe that, because I think about it. I said there are more people going into teaching that are more I hate to use this word, but more woke.
Hmm.
And so they're going into teaching and they're using, their gifts and stuff to help the kids and show the kids, which I've noticed, and I think that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I know that in this country, they don't teach us to do that.
No.
They,
Well,
they,
and
they train us to work.
yeah, but there's the whole thing, and I'm gonna sound my age when I say this, but
And that's okay.
parents need to teach their children how,
Wait, is that a thing?
just end of story. Parents need to teach their children, but not
Right.
academics, not like homeschooling,
Right.
but all of these things. And I see people posting on Facebook, oh, kids need to learn, this at school and that at school. And it's like, no, those are life skills.
Right. Things you should teach
School
them.
is for academics. Life skills are to be taught at home. And somewhere that got lost, somewhere in the last couple of generations.
Yep.
But, we need to be teaching our kids how to connect with their souls, to know who they are, to trust themselves, to have faith in themselves as people, um, as their own unique individuals who are, you know, universal beings.
Yeah.
And so that they have that knowing
Yes.
when they go out in the world.
Yes.
And
I agree.
there's just not enough of that, and
No.
not the connection to other people. And I don't know, it got lost somewhere.
We dropped it.
Yeah.
We dropped it along with lots of other things, that we
Hmm.
could talk about all day. But yeah, and it's like it's definitely something that is needful because, I think about that and I noticed that when I started doing a few sessions, because I haven't done a whole lot of one-to-one. I've done some different groups. I've had a few, you know, but when I started really getting into that, I noticed that one of the things that the people needed was that they needed to know how to connect to their body so that they can understand how they get their messages.
Hmm.
What does it feel like when you're scared? When you're feeling fear, where do you feel it? Do you feel it in your heart? Do you feel it in your stomach, your solar place? Where do you feel it? Where how does information flow to you?
Hmm.
And this is to me that was actually like the main work, regardless of anything else that they came for. That was
Yeah.
really, it's like when we listen to people and we hear them talking and they say one thing, but they really need something else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's it's like they come to you for something, one thing, but then you pick up and you realize that what they really need is to know how to connect to their body so that they can
Hmm.
understand, how to connect to their soul and how to connect and realize how they get their messages. So that when the messages come, they know that that's for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know, to me it's like you spend the majority of the time doing that, you
Hmm.
know, teaching them how to breathe and talking to them about meditation and all of these things.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
when I was doing a lot of Reiki, people would come and they'd be like, I have this issue. And I'm like, okay, that's great information, but that's like fifth on the list. Like, we have to work through like four or five other things before we get there.
Right.
Like, that's just what you're noticing because that's what's screaming the loudest, but it's
Right.
actually being caused by all
These
of these
other
other
things.
things.
Yeah.
So be patient, we'll get there, but we have to clear out all of this other stuff first.
Has been that. Yeah. So I love this work and I have been loving this conversation. But we're gonna land the plane.
Okay.
Okay. But
Okay,
so
fine.
amazing, right? So let the people know, where they can connect with you. And if you have anything going on, like any specials or anything you want to invite people to, you can share that as well. And all of her information and details will also be in the show notes. So You can click on those and make sure that you can connect with Janet, because I'm sure that after listening to her and what it is that she does and her awesome work, that you're going to want to connect with her. So Janet, share with the people, a little bit about where they can connect with you, or the best places to connect with you. And then
Yeah.
I want you to answer this one question. If there was one thing in the world that you would like to see changed, what would that be?
Oh, Lord. Okay. I'm going to stick that in the back of my head for a second. I am on Instagram as Janet Sandberg .intuitive. Facebook, I have a personal profile at Janet Sandberg, and I have a Facebook page at Janet Sandberg Intuitive. I have a TikTok, but I haven't done anything on TikTok for a really long time, so don't expect much happening over there. But you never know. You never know.
I was gonna
What's
say it's
happening.
time, girl. TikTok
I
is
know.
kicking off. It's good.
Yeah. And my podcast is called Phoenix Wisdom.
Yes, very
Uh,
nice.
and so you can find that on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. Also on Instagram at phoenix.wisdom.podcast. And my website, janetsandberg.com. Sandberg being spelled Sandberg, because that people get that wrong all the time. Okay, what was the question? What's one thing I would like to change about the world?
Yes.
This is my answer in the moment. If you ask me another day at another moment, it would probably be different.
Mm-hmm.
I would like parents to connect with their children when they're small.
Mm.
I'm really glad that I had my kids before we had portable cellular devices.
Mm-hmm.
Where you had to pay attention to them. But it makes me really sad when I see babies in strollers holding cell phones and iPads and whatever. Like, your kids are only little, and this is the old lady me talking again. Your kids are only little for such a short time. And I
Yes.
know it feels like forever when you're in it,
Yes.
but
But
it's
it's not.
precious.
It goes in a
And
flash.
it's not just about, like, well, you do it once, or you do it, this one time, which is fine. But we're talking about a person. Babies are people, and you want them to develop into wonderful, loving, spiritual human people. And that starts when they're little. So you have to make those connections with them.
Love that. Love it. That was different than anyone else. But I expect that. And you're right. It's one of those things that is fluid. It's just like blood pressure and auras.
Mhm.
It's just not the same always. But this has been so amazing, and I loved actually your answer to that question. That was amazing, because that's something that is so necessary, and so just like you said, we've lost that
Mhm.
along the way. And you're right, the devices, because my kids were born at that time too, and I loved that. I loved the fact that I would take them outside and let them run around, and I used to take them all to the park and stuff a lot, because I felt like they needed the exercise.
Mhm.
They needed to be out in the nature,
Yeah.
and not sitting up in the house, and I just, and now it's sad, because, kids don't even know how to play outside.
Yeah. Well, and kids don't know how to be bored.
No.
You have to be bored, because that's what sparks the imagination.
Yeah. So funny story about that one. Kids would say, "Mommy, I'm bored." And I would say, "No, I don't think you are." And they would say, "But yeah, we are. We're bored." I said, "Okay, all right. Well, come on, let me show you something." And so I would have them scrubbing the baseboards, and I would have
Uh-huh.
them cleaning.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
My kids learned early. Don't tell me you're bored, because I'll give you something to do.
yeah, we don't need you bored.
It's
You
not
can't
going to
sit
be
around
something
here and
you
be
want
bored,
to do.
right? I was like, there's many things to do. So they would do that. And what's funny is one of their friends came over one day, and he was saying he was in the house, and I just happened to like hear them talking in the bedroom. And he said something about, "Man, I'm bored." And both of my kids looked at him and said, "Shh, don't say that."
Don't say that out loud.
Let
mom hear it.
Because my mom will go find us something to do. He said, oh, okay. No, there's always something to do. The walls need washing, the baseboards need cleaning
Yeah.
out. The floor needs mopping, vacuuming. I mean, the bathroom can be clean. There's always shit to do.
Yeah. Well, and even driving around in the car, it's good for kids to just look out the window and watch the world go by,
No, they can't do that because they're too busy doing this. As soon as they
Yeah.
get in the car, that's what they're doing, and you're like, the world. Okay.
Yeah,
So
my
that's
grandchildren our grandchildren are gonna hate us, but that's okay.
yeah, but it's okay because
That's
it'll
okay.
be a blessing for them.
It will be. They just won't know it till they're grown-ups.
Right. They'll look back and be like, Grandma was right.
Yeah, we were.
But all right, so we're gonna get off this live. I really appreciate you, Janet, for showing up. This has been amazing. This conversation is one for the books. So make sure that wherever you are that you like, share, and subscribe. If you are watching it, I love it. You can comment below. If you wherever you're listening to it, you can also comment and message me. And if you are a spiritual entrepreneur, you can also come on Straight Out of Savannah and talk about it. So again, thank you for joining us on Straight Out of Savannah. Bye now.
In a world filled with chaos and uncertainty, sometimes all we need is a guiding light, a source of strength, and a shoulder to lean on. Introducing Magical Healing Transformation Support. You can get 3 months, 6 months, or 9 months of support, where our experienced spiritual guides are here to help you find your inner balance, discover your true purpose, and navigate life's challenges with grace. Go to the website https://tammymorrison.com for our offerings, or connect with me wherever you are listening to this. Send me a message. Get unleashed today.
I know you've been blown away with the amazing value here today. Now go out and inspire the planet. And be sure to send us a message when you're ready to come talk about it on Straight Outta Savannah, Talking with Tammi.